Folks. Go ahead here. I am going to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. This is our regular meeting of council for Tuesday, March 25th. Those in attendance here in the gallery and those online, please be aware our meetings are recorded for public viewing. I'm placed on a publicly viewed platform. I will first acknowledge that we are here doing our business and have the privilege of eating and working and doing the rest of our other business on the unceded First Nations land of Ehasak territory. I'm going to get somebody to do approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any addendums or deletions from our agenda this evening? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried.
Motion to adopt minutes of February 25th, 2025 regular council meeting.
Second.
Questions, comments, errors, omissions? We see anything? I had one. I know that we'll get a report on this eventually, but has there been any interest in item 4.1, the advertising for the parks?
One person, Madam Mayor,
Well, there is some things
Yeah.
generated.
we've extended the deadline for 1 week.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Any other questions from anybody? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Motion to adopt minutes from the March 11th, 2025 special meeting council.
Second.
Questions, comments, errors, omissions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Any business arising? Seeing none, no delegations or petitions, correspondence, letter dated February 26th from UBCM. Anything to add to the CA or open skip before we get started?
No, I think.
Questions or comments from council? Seeing none. Oh, Councilor Lewis.
Just, I was surprised as to the non-endorsement. Especially in this day and age.
I was, but I wasn't, because I think that they do have a select committee appointed to discuss those kind of issues. So it's not like they just didn't endorse this resolution. I think
Okay.
because they're doing other business and trying to they're trying to work through that select committee and then get the recommendations from that. So that may come out of this, but they didn't want to, or this is just my assumption.
Yes.
They didn't want to make any endorse any resolutions when the committee may come up with something different, right? That might
Gotcha.
fit better.
Okay.
At least that's my reading between the lines. That's my understanding. I could be way out in left field here. But knowing UBCM as I do, I think that's what's going on. Do you have any?
Thank you, Mayor. Even prior to the UBCM convention, I spoke to UBCM and they said that this was something that, they were already highlighting, they were already working towards. And it was happening internally at UBCM, so.
Good stuff.
Thank you for that. So then moving on to reports. We are on the Zeballos volunteer fire department monthly operations. Questions or comments from council? I don't have any, and I know that's Chief Moore isn't here this evening, but I do wonder. And I know it's semantics, but he had us at I don't believe Darcy Kerr is from Ehasak. I believe she's fired another from them. So just for more knowledge, I know these things, so she's not an actual member. I think she's hired from them. Other questions from anybody? Seeing none, I will move on to the Fort McNeil annual report. you have anything to add to this?
No, nothing.
Okay. So that opens it up to questions and comments from council. Anything on this one, the RCMP report? Not seeing any. So then we'll move on to the Public Works report, monthly operations report. Anything else to add to this one? Steph?
Nothing from me. If Hudson has any, or Foreman has anything to add.
Nothing further to add, but I can happy to answer any questions.
So then that opens up to council. Questions or comments for Manila Halleck on his monthly operations report? Councilor Lewis.
I'm just curious, it's the garbage truck saved in the back for new turbo and pedestal. What is the pedestal?
It's just basically what the turbo sits on top,
Oh,
on
okay.
top of the motor, yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Maquinna Hill. What is, where, there's a sinkhole?
Always am confused on what the real name of the hill going out of town is. But yeah, there was a sinkhole about 3/4 of the way going up there in the shoulder. It was, I don't know, maybe 6 feet deep, let it poke that lipstick, so the main road was gonna fire it. And they came out and fixed it.
Put some felt.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Perfect. Thank you for that. Seeing nobody waving their hand frantically, we can move on. That brings us to the CAO monthly operations report. CAO, did you have anything to add since final production?
No.
Any questions from council for the CAO? Councilor Lewis.
I know, I'm a pain. Did they say, when you had the discussion, about being here, service needs?
Which
Where's the
item
balance?
are you talking about?
For meeting with, Corporal, Port Mill RCMP?
Through staff?
Could I see you repeat the question, please, here and there?
Looking to see if, what they said about our requested service needs.
So the discussion that we had was, we're definitely looking for more visibility within community. We would like community engagement, not necessarily a harsher enforcement, but just a greater community engagement, and visibility within the community. Now, I've been informed that they do come into community, but they don't report into the office. So I've requested, even if we're closed, to knock on the door, because often the office has information that they may find a benefit. So most of our conversation was revolving around just their appearance within community.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Anybody else? Excuse me. Seeing none from council. Excuse me. I had one question on protective service, and I know that's kind of an operational, it is an operational task, but I'm wondering if there's any opportunity for set council at all to meet with our protective services for the emergency EPC, the emergency coordinator. I think that yeah, it would be great to meet the person who's doing our emergency services for us locally.
Absolutely.
Perfect, thanks. And there was talk about inventory and itemizing. They came in to do an inventory and do an itemized list.
I'm not sure if they've completed it, but we do have the room in the community hall, which staff hasn't had an opportunity to go through in the 2.5 years I've been here. So with her availability, Kathy's availability, we've asked if she could go through and do that inventory. And a lot of it is just, you know, we have laptops in there that likely haven't been updated in 3 to 4 years. So just making sure that everything is current, updated, if it needs batteries, that it has batteries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the serial numbers on all of them and those kinds of things are all kept up to date. There's also quite a few things in the back room as well. I don't know that may be something that she would do, but I think probably a lot of that is out of date, as it was from the power outage that we had, the long one. So I'm not sure if that's something that, because there is quite an inventory of foods back there. Lots of it's canned, but some may be out of date. I was just noticing last time I was back there. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And thank all the departments for their hard work. We know how much and how hard they're working. So make sure to send that along. Nothing else from anybody. We'll move on to committee of the whole. So March 11th committee of the whole recommendations through the CAO. Did you have anything to add to this?
Nothing further from me. However, we do have Deputy Janice on Teams that, so if council has any questions.
Perfect. Thank you for being here, Deputy Janice. So you want to move forward with those recommendations so we can talk to them? And did you want them in seriatim as they're written? So number 1 and then the number 2 with all the items and then 3?
Yeah.
Perfect. Just making sure for council. If anybody wants to start with those recommendations, one would come first.
Motion that staff move forward with the tax rate scenario, which incorporates 5% tax revenue increase by 2025.
And a second.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? This is really just ratifying all those conversations we had at the Cal. So I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried then. Number 2.
Motion that the budgeted 2025 operating surplus be allocated as follows: $5,000 transferred to the Cenotaph Project Reserve, $5,000 transferred to the Cemetery Improvement Reserve, $20,000 transferred to the Public Works Equipment Statutory Reserve, $50,000 transferred to the Wastewater Collection and Treatment Statutory Reserve, $50,000 transferred to the Water and Treatment and Distribution Statutory Reserve, $40,000 transferred to the Foreshore Improvement Statutory Reserve, $50,000 transferred to the Lands and Parks and Landscape Reserve, and the remaining balance of the budgeted 2025 operating surplus will be allocated to the operational contingency transfer surplus.
I have a second on that.
Second.
Thank you for that. Questions or comments from council? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Number 3.
Motion that the municipal dock seating area with shelter and the fish cleaning station on the municipal wharf be moved to 2026 5-year capital projects.
Second.
Questions or comments from council? Seeing none. I had a question and I think it was on the last. No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That 2 is carried. Thank you for ratifying those, council. Appreciate it. And we'll get the budget done. And next is the capital and major purchases budget. So through to staff, did you have anything else to add to this report?
Thank you, Mayor. I think just for clarity for council, we are asking for approval of this part of the budget so that staff can get working on it, which means that should council do that tonight, we are not expecting any further changes as we prepare the 5-year financial plan. It's just every year as staff, as the 5-year financial plan gets approved, we're already in month 5 of the year, and it honestly doesn't leave much time for staff, especially our public works foreman, to react to those projects. So if we can get started now, gives us a couple extra months.
And thank you for doing that. I know that we've always, the goal has been ever since I've come to get those budgets done earlier and earlier so that we may do that work. And I know we've still got stuff left from, projects left from 2024 and items still on from 2024. But a lot of these are timely and everything is connected here. So thank you for making sure that it was prepared for us for tonight. And through to Deputy Janice and Claudia. I can never remember Mrs. Frost for working on that so well. So with that said, questions from council? There's also an opportunity right now to make a recommendation that's contained on page 28 of 88 in your agenda package.
To do that. That the 2025 capital major purchase budget be adopted as presented and included as a final in the 2025-2029 5-year financial plan.
Second that.
Perfect. So questions and comments with that motion? And as always, if things change, there's always an opportunity to amend this, but thank you for getting it to us in a timely manner. And we've done lots of review on this. So thanks for putting our wishes and our wills into the report. Nothing from anybody else. I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried, folks. On to bylaws. We have our sanitary sewer regulation bylaw. We have already done first, second, third, so we're looking tonight for a final reading and to be adopted. CAO Nelson, do you have anything to add to this?
Nothing further on this, thank you.
Perfect. Council?
I would like to move that the sanitary sewer regulation bylaw 559/2025 receive final reading and be adopted.
Second that.
A second.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Excuse?
Any questions or comments on it? This is the last and final time we'll go. However, we may make amendments at any time that we see fit, so we always have that option. We've been through this quite a few times, a few cows, a few regular meetings, maybe the whole opinion and a few regular meetings. Anybody see anything else? All the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, we're all agreeable tonight, folks. That's carried. On to our water system regulation bylaw. CEO Nelson, so this is kind of the same as last time. We're looking for a final and adoption. CEO Nelson, do you have anything to add to this one?
Nothing further, thank you.
So, you times you've seen this as well. Any questions, comments, or a recommendation you want to put forward?
Recommend that the water system regulation bylaw number 558-2025 receive final reading and be adopted.
Second.
Questions or comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you for that. That too is carried. Now we're looking at our.
Just lost Councilor Dick.
We do still have quorum, but we'll give maybe a sec to see if you can get him back.
Sure.
Excuse the pause, folks.
Share sounds.
It does.
Yeah. I thought it was just.
Does.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Hello, Councillor Deck. Okay, so we're on to the subject, or the traffic and parking bylaw. So tonight we're looking on for second and third reading and any recommendations on changes. We have been through a committee of the whole with this. A couple of different reports. It is on our strategic priorities. The number one strategic priority part of this for until 2026. And so any questions or comments from council or a recommendation?
Recommend that traffic and parking bylaw number 557-2025 receive second and third readings.
Thank you for that.
Second that.
Perfect. Excuse me, CAO, I did not ask if you had anything to add to this. I will do that now and forgive my lateness. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Thank you. Just with this one, because there are some fundamental changes to how people park. The sooner we can get the bylaw adopted, the sooner staff can start getting public communications out so that there's not as much shell shock when people arrive and see the changes.
Absolutely. And I think that part of that, this first year, if I heard correctly at the committee of the whole and the first reading on this is that, this first year is a learning curve for everyone, including our staff and these, we're trying to work through this. So of course it is regular. We are able to make amendments to it after as well. But getting people used to it will be key. So, questions, comments from council? Is there any plan that staff has yet to how to get those communications out?
Thank you, Mayor. No formal plans, but we will make sure that on our Facebook page and our regular web page that information is out there. And immediately upon adoption, hopefully next month, staff will get to creating some signage, some public signage for the parking lots in a size large enough that people can start viewing that.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And I know it's going to be a really large tax package this year because there's a lot of changes coming, but it might be something to consider to put some information out on that as well. And I know that the Village Voice is always our way of communicating with, so I know that that's part of it, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else for anybody? I just hope the public bears with us as we get through this transition year until, we get all the kinks ironed out. But this is a step forward for sure. It's an issue. And it was last year, really, really obviously. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor of doing, what is this, second, third reading? Any opposed? Perfect. Thanks for that. We'll see the rest of the adoption, final adoption next month. All right, moving right along here, folks. We are on the zoning bylaw already. So was there anything that that the staff had to add to this one? This is another final and adoption. You've seen it quite a few times before through various cows. Also through public consultation periods and public hearings and multiple as part of our oh my goodness, official community plan. Yeah, perfect. So nothing to add. Council wants to do somebody wants to do the recommendation.
Motion that council gives the Zeballos zoning bylaw number 556-2024 final reading for adoption.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I think,
I was gonna say, bylaws adopted.
it is a nice.
One almost adopted, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you to staff for getting all this information to us and for council for working through it all. It's been yeah, it's a lot. Okay, hearing none, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor?
Right?
Anybody opposed? That too is carried. We are moving right on to new business. This is the discussion of the sale of engine 22 and the 1997 Ford dump truck. CEO Wilson Smith, did you have anything else to add to this?
Thank you, Mayor. So again, just for clarity, it is within the report, but as these are public assets, we are required to dispose of them publicly. And as council is in charge of our budgets, it is up to you whether or not you want to dispose of these assets.
So that putting that out there, questions through the staff from council? Not seeing any. I do wonder though if there is a possibility to pause the fire truck for a few. And just for an opportunity for myself to reach out. I know that we haven't received anything, but possibly if there's something coming from the council, the mayor and the council, maybe that would prompt. It's just, I feel, I know that they've been given ample opportunity and that the staff has worked very hard to communicate with them and get communication back. So has Chief Moran, I know that, but to kind of, I almost feel like it's going back on something. So I'd like an opportunity to just us reach out as council and say, this is, you know, that we had said that this was happening, but our next option is this. We'll be ratifying that at our next council meeting or something to that effect.
So to reach out to who?
New Charlotte Nation.
Okay.
Yeah, because the agreement was we put the engine 22 away and we'd give it to them when they were ready. And I don't think that they are yet, but just to get an answer back from them, I think maybe if there was a letter from a more political sphere that might, and if there's still no answer, and that's fine. I don't want to push them or anything, but I feel like it was a promise that we made. And so just to say this is the final kind of ask. Is that okay with everybody? Does that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just on that one item, I am absolutely fine with you. And did you want to put them both in auction at the same time? Would be the question.
I will give final say to Foreman Mahalik, but for me, we'll be doing the advertisement separately, so it's neither here nor there for me.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't make a difference for the two.
Okay. Okay, so if that's okay with council, I would like to recommend that we send a letter. So I'll make a motion that mayor and council send a letter to New Chatlet or an email to New Chatlet regarding our intent to sell. The GMC fire engine, 1984 GMC fire engine 22. I'm gonna second for that. Second. And then any questions or comments from anybody? Anything you want included in that or anything? I'll work through with staff, of course, so I'm not saying anything that is not included in the communications you've already given.
I'll probably add something. That we could have a date when, because it's getting very, very old. So if we could give them like 2 weeks or something. And so we could follow through with what we need to.
Yeah, we could.
This is like 6 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, if it was like a year or maybe we could.
Yeah.
Sit on it, but it's getting like a decade.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay.
Yeah, for sure. And we could either do that at a special meeting, so we could ratify, what we'd have to ratify during our next regular meeting, essentially, wouldn't we? Or through a special meeting?
Sorry?
If we gave them a 2-week date to reply, 2-week window to reply to our letter, then that would bring us, so then we would tell them if there was no reply back from them within that 2-week period, then at our next council meeting, we would ratify the same,
Correct.
essentially, okay.
So, pardon, Mayor, so my recommendation as the corporate would be to table the first recommendation.
Okay,
Still vote on the one that you've got on the table right now, but then table the second one, until either a given date or pending response from staff, whichever one you want to do.
I would probably want to do next council meeting, right? Let's just get it done. Okay, perfect. So on my motion, would you read that back to me?
That mayor and council correspond with New Chatlet First Nation on the receiving of the GMC engine number 22. And that it will be as part of
An intent to sell.
with intent.
Perfect. So everybody heard that one. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Any opposed? So that's carried. And then I'll make a motion to table the second recommendation, the first recommendation until next council meeting. So that the village advertised for sale with an upset price of 12,000 through a sealed bid process. So the closing date will change, of course, and we'll table all that until next council meeting. That's a tabling motion. Do I have a second? Second. Perfect. Questions, comments? All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And then somebody want to move the second recommendation?
Recommend that the village advertise the 1997 Ford dump truck for sale at set price of $7,500 through a sealed bid process available to the public, and the closing date of April 14th, 2025.
Thank you, Councilor Janice. Questions or comments? I have one. So that will be advertised to the public. How will the advertisement go out? I know that we're obligated. Are we obligated to use a newspaper on that? I don't know the ins and outs of.
No, so we do have a new bylaw, a public notification bylaw that is just mailbox stuffers and social media.
Thank you for that. And if that doesn't work, then would we take it out to a newspaper article? If we wouldn't get any,
We can, however, council pleases.
they'll come back to us and tell us if we get any. Okay, perfect. So any other questions from council? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Brings us to the C2C. See anyone else? Oh, this is our community solid waste meeting. Scheduled for the 2nd and 3rd, and that is hosted by Comox Strathcona Waste Management. Did you have anything else to add to the report, Celia Nelson?
Thank you. Again, it is in the report, but just for clarity for council, that both Foreman Mahalik and myself will not be attending the meeting. So we brought this report forward just so that council is aware of what some of the implications can be with the closing of the landfill and some of the items that we're hoping can be discussed at this community to community, as we are the primary service provider in solid waste.
And that is for everywhere from here to our harbor section.
That's correct.
So, you know, it's not in Charlotte. Okay, so questions and comments from council? I have one in particular who plans on being there.
Nobody yet.
Thank you for that. I will do my very best. Yeah. I'll do my very best to represent and get my points across, these points across. And then we'll do it. Okay, any other questions or comments about the content of the report or any clarification that you want from Sam Wilson Smith before he goes?
When is the meeting? Time?
On the third, so the second is the family fun day. And the third, I believe they posted it from 9 till. No, it's on the other, and I don't have my phone with me. I could look it up right away, but I think they said it was a 9 AM start and then lunch will be served that day. So 9 to 2 or 3. It's a board.
Right.
Yeah, it's on social.
And, how do we feel about us taking over the transfer station? That's something we can discuss in, yeah? Or is that something we need to get agreement to have to discuss that there?
Through to the CAO.
Thank you. As this is council's meeting, you're free to have that discussion now.
So. How do we feel about the house that's taken over the transfer station?
How do you feel?
Well. It's pretty far down the road to predict the future. But the way things are moving right now, there's a lot of things that need to get into place in a house. So I was thinking about this, and I was just thinking about instead of having it on either of our municipalities, or what if we attempted to share the responsibility and put it somewhere on a neutral piece of land? Because I think that Zeballos has the function and the idea of what needs to happen planned and mastered. And I think that if we work together on it, it would be a healthy thing to have. So instead of one person taking the responsibility, it could be a joint effort, and it could be nurturing for our relationship as two communities. That's where I'm at. I think there's going to be more things in the future that we need to attack. Attack is not the best one. That we need to embrace. So, and I think going forward, we can have it if we attempt to, find some common ground to work together. Because there's going to be a lot of things we can share that we're both going to need. And there's a perfectly good example, along with our sewage treatment. We should try to reach out halfway.
I will tell you that last time I was on a solid waste meeting, there was an understanding that Hagsat will move ahead with a curbside service. And that will be picked up on reserve, and that will be part of their addition to reserve and their plan for that, so that they will do curbside pickup, and they will use the boxes, the dumpsters still, but that they will have someone hired to do a curbside pickup and go door to door. So that's something that's in the works. I think that's a fantastic idea to work together towards that. Absolutely. I don't think that we have the capacity to do that over here necessarily. However, I do think that a neutral space and working together is great. I do worry about the things that are outlined in the report, such as Berman wildlife interface. I'm not comfortable with it being built this close to the municipality, or close to their membership, right? I think it will just cause problems. But I think if there's a way that we can work together and get a dual, work, that they can work together to augment our service, that would be great, right? And do some kind of work together. I'm fearful that as it says in the report, the landfill, they already have to monitor it for 25 years. There's no, or 75 years, there's no worry about any, what do they call that?
Seepage.
Essentially, yes, right? Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, I just worry about, environmentally polluting another piece of land when there's already one that they're monitoring out there for a certain period of time. Also within our service area, that's halfway. It's partway to Uklji, it's partway to, as for looking at another piece of property, that would definitely, but I do know that environmental regulations on Crown land to find another piece of property on Crown land might be a sticky point, but that's not for us to decide. That's for the solid waste to work out. So, absolutely agree with you.
I think maybe for a transfer station, it's going to be different. Because you're not leaving a mark like you would with a landfill. We gotta.
I do know Councillor Deck is next. Did you want to answer that?
Thank you. I have very intimate knowledge in running a transfer station, and no matter how careful you are, stuff is going over the edge of the bin onto the ground. If somebody throws in an oil container that you're not aware of, is coming through the drain holes in the bottom, so you are still continuing to contaminate land.
Councillor Deck, I see your hand up. Thank you for waiting patiently. Your comment, sir, or question?
Yes. It's a interesting idea Councillor Janice has, but I'm wondering, do we have any history of successful partnerships with the nation? I'm not aware of any.
If I can, I'll answer that. Absolutely. Fire department being one, the purchase of their, so that was a partnership of us having an old engine and them having a partnership with us. I know that they very much stepped up to the plate when we needed members on the fire department. We currently have a waste wastewater treatment partnership moving forward together. The building of the school was a good partnership. There's been a numerous ones to mention. So yes.
I don't consider those all to be successful.
Okay, anything further?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, for your comments. Definitely taken into consideration. Yeah, it will be interesting to hear what they have to say, and I think this is part of, I think because it's a public meeting, that the public is allowed to attend. I think that I'm hoping that there will be some good questions from people, the community, and knowing how it will affect them, our citizens, our constituents, and also the people in Habitat, and what kind of options there are. So, yeah, Councilor Janice.
Yeah, and I think there's another point. If we share the governorship of this operation, we could keep an eye as partners on, who's being billed for tipping. So, we run it together. We know that garbage came in from a certain place. It gets billed properly by weight to the right entity. And that would kind of break down the barrier of, if we were running it, cooperatively, that we could make sure that those things were lining up together. And then that would take some of that pressure off of billing and what's coming from where. Which right now, at our dump, it's kind of questionable what's being put in there.
Yeah, and I think this is why I've been preaching about this for years, about having them actually do something up here in any form or come to us and present to us, because we know the landfill's closing. I hope that most of you know that 80% of our garbage that goes in there is organics. That is the heaviest and wettest garbage that you can get, essentially. That there plans to be backhauling empty transfer station carriers. Sometimes they won't have to do that when they're doing things like recycling. They'll be backhauling empty. So it's just more environmental. It's an interesting, solid waste is an interesting, I've learned a lot over the years, and it's an interesting conundrum. It also can be treated as quite the resource, right? So in a circular economy, making sure that everything is making this money, right? So as of right now, we do not pay tipping fees. That's not something that we currently do as a municipality. And this is going to be a massive sticker shock to everyone, that we're going to have to pay for tippage and we're going to pay for weight, and that mostly we're putting in garbage that is organics. And in our system, we all bear the weight of that. We all bear the cost of that because we don't have curbside pickup. So it's a lot of education. I've tried preached at them for years now to try to come up here and do some kind of organics thing, because that's what's going to get us. That's what's going to nail us. And I think it's going to be a massive sticker shock to people. So I'd love to be able to carry that into, especially if the that is going to do curbside pickup, then there's so much diversion that can happen, right? Like, that's amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
As far as separation,
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if they'd be willing to, I wonder if they'd be willing to do that for us too.
Maybe that
Curbside.
service that they might
If
be
they're already, if they're already gonna have equipment, I mean,
it's something to bring up for sure.
at their meetings.
Councilor Lewis.
Will they be putting in a scale?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we used to have curbside pickup because, I started, with the village in 2007. It was all household and curbside pickup and same garbage truck.
You did it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's not something that's not attainable for here. You can't do it.
It is, and there's also the opportunity for maybe they want to take over the service. Maybe that's what so these are all things that are kind of on the
to employ some people and
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right.
put
So
equipment to good use instead of,
yeah. Right.
that'd be really nice for our community, for Zeballos.
I'd love to have
It's
curbside.
help.
Yeah, for sure. Lewis.
Yeah, because they could also, if we ever get the organics thing happening, there could also be, we could also try and figure out a way to do, like cardboard recycling, similar to what there is down island. So, because that way, at least if people are putting it out, at least it's still stuff is still staying separate from going into the transfer station. And hopefully the transfer station will be the landfill, because of the rodent infestation that I can almost guarantee will be there.
Yeah, we all know Zeballos has some big rats already, right? So adding any level of that to, that just is an attractant. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, what the people have to say about their service delivery and their service model, and where they can see improvements and where they can see, I'm looking forward to a really good presentation, and I'm sure they'll take that feedback back. I do want them to understand that we are the ones who have performed the service, though we're the service providers for their waste management organization, and we know it intimately, and maybe the information that we have is valuable, and that it is worth a closer consideration. Hey, anybody, thank you for that conversation. Really appreciate that. That's good. I will, if there's anything extra that you want, that you come up with after this meeting that you hadn't thought of before, just send me an email, text me, whatever. I'll be there. And hopefully some of your families can come out and participate in the family day on the 2nd. Looks like there's gonna be a lot of fun, so dinner included, bingo, movie night, all the things, so stuff for the kids and stuff for everyone. So I encourage everybody to participate if they can and if they're here. That, folks, brings us to
Almost the end.
in camera. So if somebody, well, I'm gonna make the motion that we go in camera under the community section where 91A personal information about an identifiable individual. And community charter section 91A person. Personal information about an individual. Is that a typo? Those the
No.
same?
No, there's, the one underneath that is the recommendation.
Perfect. Thank you. So that council goes in camera.
I see what happened there.
Yeah.
I say,
Questions or comments? Anyone all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. We have a public question and comment period. I do not have my procedure by law here in front of us, but I think you're familiar enough with it that Mrs. Welch, would you like to ask a question or have a comment?
My name's Dawn Welch. I live in this little town. Neighbor. Anyway, not so successful transfer when the ice plant went over in First Nations hands, and then they had to be reminded to get it back up and running again. And I don't know if it's running or if it's not there. So that with you on, not everything has been successful. But my other comment is about the community support plan and if what's going to become of the Cedars Hotel. I'm understanding it's becoming sort of I guess you might say like a dry out center or a recovery center for First Nations. It's changed hands.
I don't know any of that, but I do know that it is sold.
Well, I was given to understand that it was bought by First Nations and they're going to use it for a recovery center or that kind of thing. And I'm not sure if I like that idea right in town. That is my opinion.
Okay, thank you for that. It has changed hands, that's all I know. And I don't even actually know if that's official. So, the intent was to change hands.
Mhm. Okay,
Thank you so much.
you'll find out in good times.
I hope you have a fantastic evening. Oh, wait, no, there's still a rising report. You want to stay till the bitter end?
Might as well.
Thank you for that question, or comment, and then we have the item 12, rising report. So if somebody wants to make a motion to rise on the, oh, I should leave. I'm gonna step out, can
Oh,
you?
no, it's already happened.
Okay, so I don't have to.
No,
Okay,
it's
thank
being
you.
reported out.
Okay, so it's being, so somebody wants to make a motion that.
motion that we rise and report on the appointment of museum volunteers. That we're looking for.
Mhm.
We want to second it.
Thank you for that, Councillor Lewis. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. One motion left.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. There you were, the second right away. All in favor?
I know.
Motion to adjourn. Any opposed? That is carried. We'll take a